Hello, new friends. I'm so excited to be here for week 2. I hope that, now that we're getting to know each other a little bit better, we can build on this every week and come up with some great recipes that you are interested in learning how to make. In the meantime, I'm going to share with you a breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, anytime meal that I make for my family fairly regularly. The original recipe was called Christmas Morning Wife Saver because it was something that you make ahead of time and pop in the oven on Christmas morning, and it's supposed to make everything easy for you. Now we just make it because we like it. I am going to show you how to make it in muffin tins because when I bake them like this, I throw them in the freezer, and then my kids have got a fast and easy breakfast first thing in the morning. I can just pop them in the microwave for 30-40 seconds, heat them up, and they're good to go. So what I want to show you is all the ingredients that go into this. We have milk, salt, pepper, hot sauce. I like this brand. It's Ahi. It's a chunky chili sauce. Comes in 4 different heat levels. If you've got Frank's, whatever, or not, you don't have to put a hot sauce in it. Worcestershire sauce. That's another one of those things that if you have, great. If you don't, you can certainly not put it in. That's the beauty of this recipe. You can put virtually anything in it. A little yellow mustard. The best part of it is that it uses stale bread. So when you see these stickers at the grocery store, take advantage of them. 30% off. I've already cut the bread up in cubes, just so you know. Got a little red pepper, some onion, some grated cheese, and some beaten eggs. So, what I want to show you today is a vegetarian version, because I have vegetarians in my family, but you can certainly add bacon to it, ham to it, chicken to it. You can put whatever you want in it for vegetables. Again, I'm making it to suit my family, so we're going with onions and peppers. So, a couple of things I want to show you. First of all, this is a great little kitchen hack that I learned a few years ago. When you've got a cutting board, sometimes they can slide around on the table or on the counter. If you put a damp cloth underneath, put your cutting board down on that, your cutting board does not slide. That keeps it nice and safe. And another hack that I learned from a chef named Karen Barnaby, who years ago was a columnist for the local paper. When you're peeling onions, leave the stem end on, like this. That helps hold the onion together. So, on that note, let's get started. I'm going to take my big knife. We're going to cut right into the onion, almost up to the end. Fingers are clawed back, except for when you're holding it together, because that keeps your fingers safe. And you just slice it like that, and voila! The onion is nicely chopped. Got a little bit on the end here, and it's all held together. So, peel the onion, throw that in the compost, slice right up almost to the end. So you can make this recipe the day before. You can make it just before you're ready to cook it. The thing to remember is that it needs a bit of time so that the eggs and the milk work together and soak up into the bread. You can't just mix it and throw it in the oven. You have to have it it's got to sit for a little bit. So we're going to put our onion into the bowl. Then we're going to do the pepper. I used to work at a high school teaching kitchen. This is what the chef showed me there. You cut off the end of the pepper and cut off the bottom of the pepper. Pop the core out like this. That goes in the compost. Then you take your pepper, slice it down like that. And now you can cut the ribs out. Just like that. That takes the seeds and everything out of the pepper. And you've got this left. This is so easy now. You can cut it into strips, you can cut it into chunks, anything like that. What I did want to point out though is always try and cut it shiny side on the board, because this skin, when it's shiny like this, can be a bit tough and your knife can slip. So you don't want that, because that could cause injury. So we are going to slice this into strips like that. And then we're going to put our strips together. Now, if you're comfortable with a lot of strips, that's fine. If you're not, then just do 2 or 3 at a time, like this. Chop them into tiny little bits. Really, it's up to you and whatever you are comfortable with as far as a knife goes. So, I like to make them big enough so that you can see them, because sometimes people don't like peppers. And if they're big enough to be seen, then they're big enough to be picked out. So we're gonna chop the rest of this up. And chop these up. That goes into the bowl. And what you are left with is the top and the bottom of the pepper. So, slice that up as well. And what this does is gives you absolutely no waste. You've used every part of the pepper. Nothing is wasted, which works. Who needs to waste food these days? Certainly not me. Okay. Red pepper into the bowl. Now, that's the hardest part of the whole recipe. I took my bread already and I cubed it just ahead of time, because you don't need to watch me cube bread. We're gonna dump that into the bowl. This bread was a roasted garlic, so it's gonna give it some really nice garlic flavor in there already. So we've got that. Then we're gonna dump our cheese in, grated cheese. You can use whatever kind of cheese you've got. Cheddar, this happens to be Gouda. We like that. I've beaten the eggs up already. So I'm just gonna dump them into the bowl, because I also want to add the milk. Grab my whisk over here. So we've got beaten eggs. Then we add in the milk. Like that. It's important to use at least 2% milk for this. You need the fat to work together so that it, like we drink skim milk, but I always buy whole milk, or 2% for this recipe. Then you put in a good squirt of mustard, teaspoon or so. The Worcestershire sauce. Again, if you don't have it, you don't need to put it in there. Worcestershire is, it's a very British thing, and it adds something called umami to the flavor, which is that scent, that taste that nobody really knows what it is, but it's got lots of flavor and body. I'm gonna put in a little bit of hot sauce. Again, whatever hot sauce you've got, or if you don't want hot sauce, don't put it in. Some pepper, fresh ground pepper. A little bit of salt. Your recipe will give you all the appropriate amounts. I've made this so many times, I don't need a recipe anymore. Beat the eggs in, put the milk, then pour it all over the bread. And mix it all up with a spoon that I also forgot to get, like this. And then you just let it sit for half an hour or so, at least half an hour, because you want the bread to absorb all the milk and eggs. If it doesn't, what happens is that you end up with the egg, the liquid will cook and the bread just kind of sits in it. Whereas this way, everything is all absorbed and it puffs up and browns beautifully. So look at that. And see how pretty that is? It's got the lovely bits of red pepper in there. You can use green pepper, zucchini. Zucchini's really good in here. I happen to like it very much, but my family, not so much. And since we're making it for them, we are going to not put zucchini in. So, take this, then we're gonna put it now. I'm not letting it sit just because you don't need to sit there for half an hour and watch this soak up the liquid. So I'm just gonna do one and show you what it looks like, and then I've got a little bit that I baked ahead of time so you can see that. If you're gonna use a muffin tin to make muffins, give it a good spray, because it will stick. And then you put a spoonful in there like that. Fill them all up, pop them in the oven, and bake them for about 40 minutes. If you're baking it in a baking dish, which, have I got a baking dish? No, I don't have a baking dish. Let me see. If you're gonna bake it in a baking dish like this is a little one, but it's kind of a baking dish. Spray it, put some butter in it, and put it in there, and it takes a little bit longer. It takes about 60 minutes or so to bake it when it's all one. Then you take it out of the oven, you let it sit for 15 minutes or so just to rest, and then you cut it up and serve it. So when it comes out of the oven, this is what it looks like, all puffy and brown and delicious. You can pop it out of the pan, and I'll show you. Cut it into squares, and you get this delicious, eggy, cheesy bit of goodness that is so yummy. So, I mean, I obviously baked this a while ago, so it's not hot anymore. But that's what you're looking for, folks. So, just to go over it again, you can do it sweet as well. We didn't talk about that. But you can use, instead of using vegetables, you can put a little bit of sugar in there. That's part of the recipe. You can put some dried fruit in there and make yourself a really nice dessert too. It's a great way to use up leftover lots of things and turn it into a brunch, a breakfast, a lunch. Serve it with a light salad for dinner, and you're good to go. So, hope you enjoy that. Let me know how it turns out for you, and I really look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye now.